Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast. I am one of your hosts, Grayson, and with me is my best friend, a handsome lad in and of himself. Is that how I said that? I don't know yeah, no, that makes sense. It's Cole. Hey, buddy, I love you. It's been too long.
Hey, man, I love you too. It hasn't been that long. It's been like maybe a week.
That's a long time.
But I guess in the grand scheme of things, like in the lifespan of like a fly, that's a lot of time.
What a great correlation.
Well, I don't know. Hey, we're here to talk Star Wars. We're both very handsome, very charming, and very charismatic fellas here to talk about Star Wars. But you know what? Namely, Ahsoka Episode 3.
Yes, Episode 3. Yeah, for some reason I thought it was like Episode 4. 4 hasn't come out yet. That'll be soon.
Ahsoka Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Namely.
Yep. Yep. The title, don't know what they're talking about, but no, yeah. So we haven't really been gone that long, but it has been about a week since. Actually, probably by the time you're listening to this, probably longer than a week. We did preface in our last episode that we would be a little bit delayed because I was out of town, because I got to go onto the Star Cruiser, which was very awesome, and I would love to talk about it. You can check out my Instagram where I'm in full Star Wars drip, and Instagram's @Shrades38. Thank you very much. But yeah, so we are back finally after the complications of me traveling, Cole losing power, me being trapped, all because of the hurricane. We're here. We have seen Ahsoka Episode 3 twice, so it's given us plenty of time to simmer on our thoughts, and we are going to jump straight into it. Cole, what do you think about this episode? I already know what you think, but for everybody else, what do you think about this episode?
Well, Grayson, let me tell you my opinion about the episode for the first time. I quite enjoyed it. I really liked it, actually. I understand that at the very least, you'll get this everywhere with Star Wars fans. I understand that this episode was a little divisive for some reason, that people were thinking that it was a little slow or that it just wasn't entertaining. And I'm going to be honest, this was one of the more entertaining episodes for me. I mean, I don't know why. I liked it a lot. It was like first impressions before we go into anything specific. Great third episode. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No time wasted.
I feel similarly. Like, I also don't mind when episodes are intrinsically slower, but this episode felt well paced. I was entertained with both the slower moments and the action moments. I've seen people say that the episode was a slog and nothing happens, and
what are they talking about?
Too short, and the performances. Like, I've just seen all of this like nitpicking, and I'm just like, I just don't agree. Like, I really liked the episode. I thought the space battle was really solid. I loved seeing the teamwork and the tight-knit crew of Ahsoka, Sabine, and Hugh Wang. I just feel like they're a really good trio. Like, I really enjoy them, watching them as a trio.
Absolutely.
And so just overall, like, everything that we saw, I really enjoyed, and I thought I was going to be disappointed when I heard reports that it was going to be less than 40 minutes, but it goes by quick, but at the same time, like, it doesn't feel like as short as something like a short episode. No. Obviously we come off from the first episode, so they're a little bit longer, but I mean, we both finished it, and we were like, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. So to be honest, I just feel like there was a lot of needless nitpicking for this episode. And it's like, we have 5 episodes to go. Like, not every episode is going to be like, just hit the ground running, high octane action, Jason Bourne. It's just like,
I think a big problem with modern day Star Wars fans, I'm gonna say, like, at least contemporary Star Wars fans right now, is that there's too much emphasis on expectation. We really set up the expectation for like a lot of things, and then when those things don't happen, we let ourselves down. And so I think a lot of the contention with this episode is that people just wanted to already see the end goal already. Like, they want to find Thrawn, they want to find Ezra, stuff like that.
Yeah.
When in reality, like, I think they're kind of missing they're missing the journey for the destination here,
Exactly. Like, it's the the time old saying that like if you're not, I'm paraphrasing, but like if you don't look around, it'll pass you by, sort of thing. And
right.
for me, I'm fully immersed in the moment. I want to see I obviously can't wait toward the end point, but like I'm enjoying the build up. I'm enjoying the little teases, and we'll get into those. There's little teases of all kinds of certain things in this episode with characters and possible reveals in the future. So I was very pleased, and to me, the episode felt very Star Wars to me. And what little would you know, believe it or not, I love Star Wars. Do you agree?
Man, I also love Star Wars. That's crazy. We should make a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I mean, if you don't want to, like, we don't.
We'll think about it later.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just bring that up later. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway.
So when it comes to the episode itself, I actually, Grayson, you don't know this. Wink, wink. I have made a list of notes while I was watching the episode for the first time.
Dude, you've never told me about this.
I've never told you about this even once. We went into this episode not knowing how we were going to structure it at all, and here I am laying it out to you. I made these notes to kind of guide us along, at least in my initial thought process. Now these notes were made the first time I watched the episode, not the second.
Yeah.
I did go over them to just make sure that I felt the same, and I do still feel the same. But I think that would be a great way to kind of go through this so that a little bit in contrast to our reviews of episodes 1 and 2, we kind of go over all of the beats first, and then we can talk about like specific stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a little bit of both.
That sounds great to me.
So anyway, at the beginning, we start at the beginning of the episode. We have an amazing training sequence with Huang and Sabine.
Yeah.
Huang showing off feats that I did not know he could do, emanating his own General Grievous in there, making me very happy. With Kevin Kiner's music just behind that
very
dude, like
stuff.
that training sequence. Especially paired right afterwards with Ahsoka training Sabine with the helmet. Just very, very cool. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was a classic training sequence, but it was very good, especially seeing someone like Sabine, who we get a little bit more tidbits later on of them kind of explaining rules of the Force that people for some reason were mad about when this has always been the case. We will get into it later, but like, you know, obviously we get to see like her Mandalorian training is serving her well, but like, you know, she puts on the helmet and she's like, I can't see anything, and it's like because she has not opened her mind. You know, her body is well trained, but not her mind. And so it's just very good stuff. It's very samurai, very Kurosawa, which are huge inspirations for George, which just makes it feel more like Star Wars to me. And I'm like, I love the ship that they're on. I love the little dojo that they have. Like, it's just, it just ticks all the boxes for me. I love it.
The line of her saying, how am I supposed to fight, being a direct reference to Luke himself.
Yeah, it's literally you could say it is a direct homage to the original Star Wars. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of
it. So overall, I think that was just a great way to start off the episode, especially because at the end of the second one, we were like fresh off the heels of Ahsoka calling Sabine Padawan. So, you know, immediately getting that reward for them kind of, you know, now being in training. It was a lot of fun. And also, like, I was noticing in just these training scenes, I mean, I already kind of thought that Rosario Dawson was fitting well into the role, but I feel like episode 3, she really shines as Ahsoka in this. You can really see her old self in there. And I honestly think it's a part of her arc. I think she's starting to show more of herself as she opens up more to Sabine, which I think really is just her character arc throughout the show.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say something along those lines that, like, I think in this episode, more so than the first two, I really enjoyed the performances given for Ahsoka and Sabine. I think it was very well done, and like I would it was the most entertaining for me. Like I was like, oh, like I'm now getting into like the mindset on like that these are these characters, because I've talked to other people that like it's kind of hard sometimes. Like people have been struggling, like especially with adapting, say, like all these animated characters, right? Like you're so used to them in animation that you like when you see them translated to live action, it can be weird because it's like Star Wars has this unique thing where it's one of the few like universes and mediums where something will be introduced in animation and then they have to translate it to live action with no frame of reference of an actor. Like they're only casting the voice, not the actual look. So then it's the fine line of like, do you bring in the voice actor versus do you bring in the actual or do you bring in a new actor? And so we've seen this with like Katie Sackhoff being both animation and live action. But I digress. I think Rosario did a great job, and yeah, I believe she's starting to fit more into that master role. She has some really good moments in this episode. I personally really enjoyed Sabine in this episode as well. I know people have been just like kind of complaining about them, and they're like, oh, they're boring, they don't emulate the characters, and it's like, I disagree, but that's also because I have my mind open to like, this is live action, these are different characters, it's naturally going to be a little bit different. Like we don't go around saying that Ewan McGregor is like 1-to-1 to Ben Kenobi. Like that's just not the case, you know? Like there's same thing with Alden Ehrenreich or, you know, Donald Glover. It's like, no, they are just adding to this character's legacy. That doesn't mean they're like bad. So anyway, I think they did the whole opening thing just was really just made me happy to see like those characters interact. And we were saying as we rewatched the episode right before this that Hugh Wang is such a welcome addition. Like
yeah. I mean,
like when they said that like the Ahsoka show was happening, like I did not expect Hugh Wang, and we obviously got that confirmation in the trailer. And I'm like so happy he's part of this crew. They're on this Jedi this Jedi shuttle. They've got Hugh Wang. They've got like, it is truly like, it's like almost the polar opposite to the Millennium Falcon. You know, it's very clean. It's well kept. This is a Jedi diplomat vessel, right? Like this is not some ragtag scoundrel thrown together. Like,
this is the adventure of a master and apprentice. You know,
and they're very very strict droid.
Dude, I love Hugh Wang so much.
He's great.
Listen, anybody that knows me and my love for Star Wars, you guys know how much I love droids.
Cole loves droids, not just in Star Wars, but he loves robots in literally everything. He loves them.
Dude, it's just like droids and robots and cyborgs. They're just great. But Hugh Wang always. He was just always really special to me, especially as a kid when I was watching Clone Wars. I just thought that he was so cool, like a droid that has this database of like every lightsaber that's ever been made under the Jedi Order, and who, like, you know, but basically for the Harry Potter fans, like the Ollivander of lightsabers, you know. I just thought that he was such a cool character, and I really wanted to see more of him. And it's cool how they capitalize on the chemistry that he already had with Ahsoka to just bring him into the Ahsoka show.
Yeah. Because he was so integral to that arc in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I want to know like how she found him, you know? I want to know how that happened.
Yeah, like we don't really know what happened to him after Clone Wars. I don't remember, at least. I don't think he'd be part of the temple, and I don't think he was on Ilum, so he was out there somewhere. Maybe that's a story for another day, but I think it's cool that he was not destroyed. I'm sure he was probably in hiding. I would not be surprised if some Jedi or somebody like rescued him and he was kind of out there in the galaxy during the time of the Empire and stuff before Ahsoka managed to find him.
There's some potential in there for Tales of the Jedi Season 2 if they want to make that like a story plotline.
I would love that. That would be
there's
really cool.
There's a lot of missing space between Order 66 and Ahsoka being Fulcrum, and then also like the end of, what was it? Was it Season 3 or Season 4 where Ezra brought her back?
So it was Season 4 around the last couple episodes, but technically she was put back in the timeline of Season 2.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So therefore she has basically all the years between about 17 BBY. Sorry, not 17 BBY. 2 BBY to Mandalorian. Those years are kind of missing, like what she was up to, you know.
There's a lot of missing space for that character.
Yeah, I mean, and like we get a lot of Ahsoka stuff, but like there's a reason, you know. She's a great character, and
she's great.
The surrounding cast of characters, like I like seeing, you know, Ahsoka have kind of her own droid in a way. Like Huyang is not like, it's crazy just like how many droids that they keep making and how all of them feel so different. Like,
yeah, I think every Star Wars journey it honestly feels incomplete without a droid, like some kind of droid companion. It really makes it. I mean, at least for me.
If you're not focusing on a singular character, if you're focusing on a party of characters, there's always got to be some sort of droid. I mean, you know, R2 and 3PO are the classics. You've got K2, you've got Chopper. I mean, just
BB-8, little guy.
Oh yeah, I love BB-8.
That little man.
That little guy. I was about to say, like, did the sequel people have a droid? Yeah, of course
they brought in. They brought in, what was his name? Dio. And
oh yeah, the cute little hair dryer.
Yeah.
on a
hair dryer on wheels.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're still talking about. Since we're still basically adjacent to talking about Ahsoka and Sabine, this is in a scene after one that comes up, but I feel like we should just discuss the amazing scene where Ahsoka just talks about the idea of the Force and how it manifests itself in people, which is just completely validating the... I don't know if we expressed our like theories or opinions on how the Force works in previous episodes, but basically just like how everybody kind of has it, but people have a talent for it, and it takes, or people can have a talent for it. It takes training and discipline to really get there. But it doesn't mean, you know what I mean?
This stuff goes back all the way to the original trilogy, and then, you know, it still ties in beautifully, in my opinion, to the midichlorian stuff. You know, people hated the midichlorian thing when they revealed that. In the prequels. And to me, honest, as a kid, I never like even thought much about it. But people took that and ran with it as, oh, if you have more midichlorians, that means you're more powerful. So that means just some people are just better or more powerful in the Force. And it's like, no, that's not the case. There's the Rise of Kylo Ren comic. Luke explains this to some of his Jedi trainees, but then Ahsoka explains it here as like, for example, Anakin and Yoda, two of the highest midichlorian counts, right? There is a reason Anakin became the quickest to become a Jedi Knight, and just excelled in everything as a Jedi, is because he had the highest midichlorian count ever. Now that doesn't mean he is more powerful than anybody else. That one could argue that Yoda is more powerful, or all these other characters, the other Jedi, like, you know, Obi-Wan. But Anakin had that natural, inherent ability because of his blood, right? And so that's why, for example, when Jedi have kids, they are passed down that, and that's why Luke and Leia, and also we get to see in this episode, we get to see Jason, who probably has some of his dad's innate ability. But so you take some, anyway. What I was going to say about that is, like, it's not a gauge of how powerful you are. It's a gauge on how easy it is for you. I mean, you think about, I explained this, we were talking, I was on my car ride, we were explaining, or I was, that, for example, like you and I, we have very different physiques and builds, right? Like I've exercised or whatever for some time, but like I am not built like a runner, you know, like, whereas like I would say, like, if you were to train more, you probably would be more built like a runner. Like I think about like during COVID when you would train in Skyrim VR and just run, like you would run everywhere.
I could run forever. I ran from Markarth all the way to Riften.
Oh my God, that sounds horrible. Any Skyrim people out there?
Okay, but it was an incredible workout. I'm just gonna keep it real brief. That like running from Markarth to Riften, but then it being in Skyrim, so you're very often interrupted by encounters where you have to stop and fight and like manually take out your weapon. Oh man. Anyway, I'm sorry guys. I'm a big fan of Skyrim and Skyrim VR.
So am I. Like I think I've said in past episodes before, Cole and I are we share a lot of commonalities in our interests besides Star Wars. Star Wars just happens to be the biggest one. Anyway, what I was gonna say is my build is I'm not built like a long distance runner. I'm built like I have a lot of power, but I'm not the biggest. I'm tall, but I'm not like, I'm not a strong man or whatever. So you think about it in like an athlete's talent, right? Or someone who is very intelligent. For example, someone who has a natural a naturally high IQ, they're going to understand certain philosophies and principles or methods, whether it's math, science, everything. They're going to attain that information and apply it way more easy than someone who doesn't. Like, there's a reason why someone's like, oh, like I have more of a math and science brain versus someone who has like a more, history, English, creative brain, right? This can be applied to the Force.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan says in the original trilogy that the Force binds together. It is in everyone. It is in every living thing. We get more more explanation through about this as time goes on in other projects. This is nothing new,
it's really not.
And so Sabine is someone who we have not really seen her have any inherent talent in the Force. Huyang even says, compared to all the younglings he's ever seen, she would pale in comparison, right? That means she does not have a natural talent in the Force. But that doesn't mean she can't be one.
Yeah, that I don't remember who said it, but I heard something online over the past week that was basically going into is Sabine really the person out of everyone in the Jedi Order the least apt to the Force? And it's yes, and here's the reason why. The Jedi only pick people that are innately Force sensitive.
Yes.
They're not gonna quote waste their time
right
on kids that can't manifest it, because that's gonna take so much longer in order to train somebody.
There was a reason why even the Jedi Council almost turned down Anakin, not because of his Force ability, but because it was going to be very difficult for him to be trained because of his age, because his mind was already at a point so far along. This is even harder for Sabine because she doesn't have a natural talent in the Force, and she's in her late 20s, is a Mandalorian. She has basically all the odds against her.
Right? She does, yeah, which makes her just the perfect candidate in what Huyang says, the non-traditional Jedi.
If there is one out of the line, she is up there. That's comes from Yoda, who is one of the very few of his species, and is one of the most renowned Grand Masters. Going to Dooku, very unorthodox Jedi, does not wear classic robes, loves his capes, has his unique kind of curved hilt. Of course, leaves the Order, later becomes a Sith. You've got Qui-Gon, who's kind of the
he was an outcast.
Yeah, he was kind of a rebel when it came to the Jedi and their philosophy. And then you've got Obi-Wan. I'd say Obi-Wan is the only one that's probably the most
straight
orthodox.
Going, I guess.
Yeah. But even him, it took him a long time to become a Jedi Knight. I mean, he was almost 30 by the time he became a Knight.
Yeah, actually, he wasn't wanted by no master picked him. He was a very late picked Padawan. They were thinking that they were going to send him off to the colonies to do. I think they send them off to colonies to do mission work. If they don't get picked by a master, that's more Legends material. But I remember in Master and Apprentice, it does specifically state that something was going to happen if he was not picked.
That's very interesting, because that in the audiobook that I've been listening to, they directly mention that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. So he is unorthodox in a way.
Yes. Yeah. Because
he goes from that to being one of the most renowned Jedi of all time.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, there's hope for Sabine yet, and of course, underneath Obi-Wan, you've got Anakin, who is probably literally the Jedi prodigy, unmatched, unrivaled. And then you've got Ahsoka. The line is clear of untraditional Jedi. Great line by Huyang. Anyway, we just went on a whole rant about the Force and how the thing works. But there's something I wanted to mention, and I talked about this, and this could even be a whole episode in and of itself. This is going to be I feel like this episode I thought was going to be a lot shorter than it is, but now it's blossomed into a lot of great discussion.
Yeah.
I was talking to you especially about if everyone has the Force in them, but it's easier for others. It starts to make you think. I'm like, okay, in what other moments have people been tapping into the Force and almost not realizing it, right?
I'm willing to bet Han Solo does it all the time.
Yes. So, and this is my direct evidence for this, is like Han is not a Jedi, and I don't think would be a good fit for a Jedi. And even when later in his life, when he understands how it works, it's kind of too late for, like, that's just not really, like, that's not him, But he says Han has an incredible amount of luck. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan says, in my experience, there's no such thing as luck. Obi-Wan, when he says that, he means the Force. That the Force is there's no luck. It's the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Han is actually controlling it or not, the Force is in a way influencing his natural aptitude to get out of situations. That's how Jedi mind trick people. That's how they're able to manipulate, like, on a small degree. And you know what really inspired this is the tabletop RPG Force and Destiny. You are very well versed in the rules of all of this, and so you were explaining to me how this game works and like the way you roll the dice. And the way you roll the dice, it's very much kind of like these situations happen, and it's kind of the way the will of the Force kind of directs it in a way.
Yep.
And that's what it is for Han, and especially in Sabine, and I mean all these other characters. So anyway, there is my whole spiel, and now I feel like I've been on a full
it's
Luthen
perfectly
Rayo
fine.
monologue.
No. So what did I sacrifice? Everything. I'll go into this real fast. The way that this works in Force and Destiny is that there is a thing called Destiny points. Mm-hmm. Force and Destiny is just very. It's basically like a made system for Star Wars D&D.
Yep.
So Destiny points, the way that it works is that players can use Destiny points to influence whatever they're doing. So let's say, let's say Han wants to make a crazy maneuver, but okay, let's just take it down to brass tacks. Even more simple. Luke is trying to shoot those proton torpedoes into the ventilation shaft on the Death Star.
Yeah.
That's like a one in a million shot. Han said it himself. Flip a Destiny point, it might just work.
Yeah.
However, the DM can also flip a Destiny point to teeter something out of your favor. So it's like good luck and bad luck, if you want to call it luck.
I have a prime example with the Han Solo thing, which is I thought where you were going, but the Luke one is obviously the simple one. Solo. When him and Kira are getting away in the beginning of the movie, and they're in the speeder, and he tries to make that maneuver to go through the alleyway in the speeder and slant it. He almost makes it, and in a way you could make it think like the Force was like almost there, but it wasn't quite enough to make it all the way. But it was enough, and in a way that's kind of the interesting mythos of the Force, is like the way that it kind of the ebbs and flows and the pulls and pushes. It's very fascinating, and this has always been a thing that Georgia said. There's literal interviews out there of him talking about how everyone has the Force. There's just others that are able to tap into it and possibly even control it far more than others. So I just think this is a great little thing, and I think I hope it opens people's minds up to the Force a little bit. And obviously there's so much we have to understand about the Force. Much like many real life religions and philosophies, like that's kind of the inspiration, of the Force.
It's the grand cosmic play set on the stage of the Star Wars galaxy. Like, man, we can make a whole episode out of this. I feel like I feel like that's a good place to leave that topic off of.
Yeah, I think we'll rant for way too long.
Yeah, and so to finally leave this scene that we're talking about, I just thought it was so funny when Sabine tries to use the Force on this cup. And then Ahsoka calls her away, and then she's like, "You win this round." And then it does it cuts back to a shot of just the cup sitting there. And I just think that that's so great.
Yeah. And then that specific scene, I think it's Natasha Leo Bordizzo. I think that's how you say her name. I might be butchering it. The actress who plays Sabine. She was just great in that scene. Her facial mannerisms. I was just like, that's so funny, dude. Like
she emanates Sabine so well.
Yeah, I know. I love it. And maybe some people disagree, but I was very happy with it. But yeah, I think there is a scene.
So there's a scene in between this.
Yes.
Where Hera speaks to the Senate committee.
Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma. It's good to see her back. Obviously, yeah. I love her portrayal. For whatever reason, the actress's name is evading me.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
Right. Genevieve does a fantastic job as Mon Mothma. Can't wait to see her in Andor season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this scene real fast. Hera comes in asking for help and leaves willing to tussle with this senator dude. What's his face?
Yeah. It's so any Resistance fans out there, granted I have not seen Resistance, I only know a little bit about it. That is from what I understand, Kazuda Xiono's dad, who is prevalent in the show. Apparently he's not any different. He's a total jerk. One day I will watch Resistance. I've actually heard decent things about it. I just have not gotten around to it. But that is his dad. He's not very cash money, but in a way, he does explain his argument pretty well. That like it is awfully convenient that the threat of Thrawn comes back and possible attempt for her to find it. It's like you can't be like, yeah, like you can see his point, but like of course. We know Hera as being authentic, and it's frustrating to see the council or these senators disregard her so easily, especially Mon, and especially like Hera has such a great legacy as a general and what they've done for the rebellion and just winning the war. It just kind of sucks to see her treated like that. That like that the new institution in play is already starting to become like the old Republic, not the old Republic, but like the previous Republic. They're starting to become more dogmatic, and they're starting to become a little tunnel visioned and not really thinking on the greater picture now that they're in the power. Like it's unfortunate to see. But it's a really good scene, and personally, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead does a fantastic job as Hera. I'm a Hera fan. I'm a Kanan fan, and therefore I am a Hera fan. If you know what I'm saying.
She was like, you weren't in the war, were you, Senator, or something like that. She said just sat around to wait to see who came out on top.
She said, "Sit down, son. I was in this war, baby."
And like I don't really know if I don't know how Mon Mothma feels about the situation, but it was frustrating to see her back down, like and not stand up for Hera. And like, sure, I get the I get the situation there on just how really that works. But I did notice on our second time watching the episode that this Senate committee really reminds me of the complacency of the Jedi.
Yep.
Where like when Qui-Gon brings up to them like, hey, I fought a Sith Lord, and Ki-Adi-Mundi's like, nah, man, they're extinct. No way. No way.
Extinct for a millennia.
The Sith have been extinct for a millennia. And Mace is like, I do not believe the Sith could have returned without us knowing. Like they're so sure of themselves. It's the same thing that the senators say. They're like, what? We wiped out the Empire. The Empire is gone. The Imperial remnant is scattered. Like, well, here's
dude,
the
how
thing.
can you be so close-minded to believe that? Like, how many Empire loyalists and just how big the Empire was, man? Like,
yeah, Hera said it herself. Long live the Empire doesn't sound like the loyalty we want.
Yeah, exactly. It's like where there is one small group, there are more.
Yeah, sure, the Imperial remnant is scattered, but you can scatter bed bugs, and they're gonna stay there and come back.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah, good analogy.
Yeah, so well, thanks. I have good ones in there, but anyway, I think that's it's pretty good for that scene. Immediately after, we see Jason for the first time,
and he don't look like no dumb Oompa Loompa like everybody's been saying online. I really forgot how bad he looks in Rebels. Like he looks listen, Kanan, I love your boy. I love your son. And I love him like he's my own. However, he is Fuggles in Rebels, dude. Like he looks really bad. they thankfully did him much better.
Dude, I will say I feel like his ears are intentionally covered.
Dude, because they were huge in Rebels.
Yeah,
man.
they were massive, and at the edges of
Dumbo
the
ears.
ears, like greenish tips.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were intentionally covered for the sake of the show. I will say though, like, no matter what you think about Jason Syndulla, if you ever so much as look at this child actor in the wrong way, like, you're done.
No,
you're done.
Listen, I will stand up for this child because he wants to be a Jedi, and he's going to be a Jedi. I don't know where he's at in the sequels, all right? If they kill him off, I'm wringing some necks, all right? But he wants to be a Jedi. He's got Kanan's pauldron on his shoulder, man. Dude, listen, the glow up is unreal. Kid, yeah. I don't know your name, and I will put respect on it as soon as I look it up. But I'm sick of the child hatred in the legacy of Star Wars. Jake Lloyd didn't deserve it. The girl who plays Leia, I don't think she'd been getting a lot of hate, but people like to be malicious. She doesn't deserve none of them. So this kid did a great job, and I was really happy to see Jason. He also calls Sabine Aunt Sabine. I will cry.
Man.
Listen,
man.
My love for Kanan is unparalleled. It is unmatched. And I will do everything to protect it virtually in where they are fictional characters, but I will protect every single person who not only plays them, but actually is them. They can do no wrong. I love the Ghost Crew. Anyway.
Thank you for that, Grayson. I'm very appreciative of that.
There's my second Luthen Rail monologue on how I will protect the Ghost Crew with my life.
Catch Grayson in Andor Season 2, everybody.
By the way, can I mention something before we forget? It's in our notes.
Yes. Do it.
Okay. So in the last speculation episode, there was one crucial thing that I forgot to mention. It does have to do with Kanan and Ezra. I just want to say it really quick. I've not seen anybody talk about this before. Okay, in the first two episodes, Huyang declares that Sabine, her lightsaber, which was previously Ezra's, is now Sabine's. All right, cool. However, you're like, well, is Ezra going to get his lightsaber back? He might. I could be wrong. But I am willing to, I would put money on it that he will use Kanan's lightsaber in this show.
Oh, yeah.
Sabine's lightsaber is hers. I believe she will have a triumphant arc, even if she is not the most powerful Jedi. I will become the most powerful Jedi ever.
I'll become the most powerful Jedi ever.
I keep in mind, and I had to do research here. Again, as Grayson, the #1 Kanan Jarrus fanboy and defender, his lightsaber was taken by Governor Price and given to Thrawn as a trophy. Thrawn's trophy room, from what I remember, was on the Chimera, which is the ship that was taken into whatever galaxy they're in when Ezra tries to sends the Purgle, which is where we're heading. Means there's a lightsaber on board. Ezra doesn't have his, but Kanan's is on there. So, my firm theory is that Ezra will he will pass his green lightsaber to Sabine and be like, "This is yours now. You've had it for longer than I have, technically, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to honor my master, and I'm going to use his."
Man, that's such a cool theory.
Yeah, and I know it's a simple thing, but like I love when I'm a very sentimental guy, and I'm someone who, when someone buys me something or they give me something, I don't take that lightly, and it does come from my love of fiction and, passing down things to people, to your friends, to your family, to your loved ones, and I just think Kanan would want him to use it, I mean, like
the inheritance of weapons and like just magical items in general is just a very prominent theme in little aspect in heroic stories and fantasy stories that I just really enjoy. It's simple as like Bilbo giving Sting to Frodo. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's just like one of those things
so
like
cool.
you just love to see someone kind of like passing the mantle, whether it's as simple as a piece of jewelry, a weapon. Another Lord of the Rings reference. Sorry for all the Lord of the Rings references here. By the way, another thing is that the music, the credits music for all the Ahsoka episodes, very Lord of the Rings feeling, but in a Star Warsy way. But in Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn uses Boromir's gauntlets for the rest of the trilogy. One of my favorite things, I'm a Boromir defender. I don't care what anybody says. That's a different discussion on a different podcast. But yeah, anyway.
We love Boromir here.
Ezra, going to use Kanan's lightsaber. I'm willing to put money on it. Dave is a sucker for this stuff. It's going to happen.
I don't know why I thought you were just going to say Dave is a sucker.
Well, he's a sucker for wolves, and Kanan,
that's
Caleb
true.
Doom is a wolf guy.
I will say, before I lose this thought, even though I love the fact that Sabine now has her own lightsaber through, using Ezra's older one, I really want her to get a purple crystal at some point, just because it would match and it would be perfect. I just think that would be fantastic for her character. Maybe she goes on a journey, maybe she goes to Ilum at some point. Kind of doubtful given the state of Ilum, but
it's possible that maybe that saber gets destroyed. Ezra keeps Kanan's, and Sabine has to make her own. Lightsabers, they go missing, they get destroyed. There's a reason why Obi-Wan has 3 lightsabers, Anakin has 2, maybe more. Luke has multiple ones. I mean, Rey has multiple ones. It isn't.
I also think that just in general, the story of a Jedi, like in Jedi training, it's really finalized when you construct your own lightsaber. You know, like Vader basically says it himself, I see you've constructed a new lightsaber. It's indicative of completing Jedi training. Yeah. So I feel like that would just be a very cool thing if either at the end of this show or in another series or whatever where we explore Ahsoka and Sabine's, master and apprentice relationship, we get to see her construct her own lightsaber. Would be very cool.
I mean, you think about in Fallen Order. Sorry, this is a whole other episode right here about the construction of lightsabers. But that visual of them sitting there and meditating and lightsabers putting themselves together.
Yes.
Fallen Order, one of the coolest moments. Spoilers for Fallen Order, which is a 4-year-old game. You get to go to Ilum after your lightsaber is destroyed, and you get to make your own, and you get to choose whatever color and deck it out exactly how you want to, and you unlock the double saber form or ability.
That was such a good moment.
And it's such a hype moment. You finally feel like Cal has become a Jedi Knight. But anyway, we have ranted on so many things. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, I think it's fine, right? Because like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're doing a little bit of a different format. I think it's kind of better that we're going beat by beat through the episode and then also talking about extra stuff along the way. So I think it works.
That's true. You're right. I don't apologize.
Yeah. So now we're at this point where they're going. They jump out of hyperspace and they basically come to I don't remember the name of the system, but basically they're within radius of
system.
Yeah, I think it was Denab, and then they come into the radius of Cetos, and then they get engaged in a space battle, which is so cool.
Yes, they in a short span they come upon the system, find Cetos, and then they do eventually see the hyperspace ring, which as an audience, we're like, oh yeah, we know what that is, but they do not. And I think it's anyway. But yeah, the space people were saying that this space fight, this dog fight, was boring or whatever. To me, I found it extremely entertaining. I don't know why, having 2 main villains in their own starfighters, but also having their kind of lackeys with them, and seeing Ahsoka and Sabine in this scene, they really work together well. Ahsoka's what do you need? She's struggling, and they immediately, as soon as they team up and work together, that master and apprentice relationship starts to click, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. I love when that happens. And yeah, the dogfight was just sick. I don't know, their starfighters are really cool. I don't know.
It's Marok and Shin's fighters were very reminiscent.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Marok, I must publicly apologize how I corrected you that on the previous episode or episode before that it was pronounced Merrick. This is untrue because in this episode it is Shin, I believe, pronounces it as Marok. So I am stupid. I am a dumb baby. Cole deserves all the credit. It is Marok.
I did tell him that he had to publicly apologize. So
I was gonna do it anyway.
Well, thank you, Grayson. I appreciate this gesture of kindness. So anyway, let's talk about Myrick. I mean, sorry. No. So Grayson's unamused. So I was gonna say, Marok and Shin's ships look a lot like Grievous's Soulless one, but like a very patchwork version of it. And I just love the way that they sound. Lately, Starfighter designs, namely the N1 in Mandalorian, has just been very cool. Some
cool ships.
I really liked them fighting. I loved Ahsoka getting out into the vacuum of space and deflecting the Starfighter shots. It was very Clone Wars, like doing a side flip and then cutting one of the wings of the craft. That was just great. And then I was going to say, because we had discussed this over text, but I said I wanted to talk about it in the episode. When Shin gives a directive to Marok, and then we hear him speak for the first time saying, "As you wish."
As you wish.
Which I wanted to say, that's a very Vader thing to say.
Vader saying "as you wish" or Boba Fett?
Well, Vader. I think Vader also says it.
When?
I think he says it to Tarkin.
Does he?
Yeah, when Tarkin says to release one of the admirals, and he's like, "As you wish," and just lets him drop.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know, it's just giving more credence to the Star Killer theory. That
it's at this point, and I'll go ahead and say that there have been some alleged rumors and leaks going out there about Marok's identity. I don't know if they're true. The one that we saw seemed like pretty whatever. I'm not gonna say it in the case that it is true. But you know, it goes back to that thing of expectations. I'm trying not to expect too much, but you know, they're really doing the whole, as you said this when we were rewatching it, they're really doing kind of the ramping up of the teasing. You know, in the first episode he's not really there. The second episode, you get to see more of a reveal, and he fights and his kind of potential. And then in this episode, he has not only a very good presence in the dogfight, but also he says 2 lines. Mm-hmm. His actor is credited in the credits, but it is only his stunt double, or the person inside the suit, which to me, I'm like, okay, why would you hide the voice? You know, like
his voice is very heavily edited.
Yes, like it's so. I mean, it sounds awesome, but it's
it sounds awesome, but it's been thrown through like 5 filters basically. So they're really making us wonder now. I mean, he's either got to be somebody, or you know, like it's as I told Grayson off the air. I think I would be fine if he did end up being just an original character. Mm-hmm. Like the more and more I think about it, the more like I'm open to the idea.
Yeah, me too.
But you know, it would be cool if he was, you know, it'd be cool if he was Starkiller or something like that. He just managed to make it cool. Either way, I'm just hoping that he is not a one and done baddie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
he's now made it 3 episodes, which is far longer than I thought he would make it. I was putting money on it that he would be dead by this episode, and he is not. In fact, he is very, very well and alive. And in a way, he seems. We see this kind of later throughout the episode, but like he seems not subservient to Shin, but Shin definitely is taking more of a lead in like because Baylan is not really in this episode until the very end. Yeah. But she's like kind of making the commanding orders. But he's not like, they're not bickering or anything. Like he's completely on board. They're working, I guess, in a weird foil, or maybe more of a parallel. But like Ahsoka and Sabine, they're working very well together. Like Marok and Shin both like make it out, but like when they're scanning the planet for them, they're like, she's like, do you have anything? And he just goes, nothing. Like, and that's it, right?
I will say, funnily enough, in complete contrast, Shin and Morgan are butting heads, which is just really great. I love the dynamic of
dude,
just
Shin is
villains.
Great.
Yeah, dude, Shin's great. We love Shin in this house.
Yes.
But the villain dynamic of just, you know, antagonists butting heads and not working together is just, it's always so great to me. But that scene where she says specifically, Morgan, congratulations, you almost got them.
Yeah.
That was, and like her facial expression as just very like as matter-of-factly. I don't know.
Yes.
I just think that's really great.
I'm a big fan. I mean, I keep saying this in every episode. Like, I'm a big fan of the villains in this show. Like, to me, they are equally as interesting, if not more, than the protagonists, because there's so much mystery behind them.
There's so much mystique.
Yeah, and I love that. You know, like that's why I'm enjoying the ride. You know, why I'm like, oh, this isn't like, because I'm like, man, like it feels like there's some real passion and effort being put into these antagonists.
Yeah.
And the speculation on Merrick is super fun, but also the speculation on Baylan and Shin and even Morgan. Like, we know a little bit. We know that Baylan was a Jedi. We know that Morgan is or was or is in part of the lineage of the Night Sisters. We don't really know anything about Shin. Don't know anything about Merrick other than I think he's an Inquisitor, but we still don't fully know. I love it, but like, I don't know. It's just I very much enjoyed it.
100%. All of these villains are exhibiting very just unique traits that I like a lot. Morgan is very assured of herself, very much believes in this idea of Thrawn and like Thrawn speaking to her, which, you know, if that's really Thrawn calling to her from the galaxy, that's up for debate. Mm-hmm. And then we have Baylan, who is more pensive, very rigid and structured, but he's also got like he's got something there. Like I don't know, his motivations are extremely suspect to me. I'm really curious as to where his loyalties lie. You've got Shin, who is cocky, very unbridled, but just takes charge and extremely determined. She's so great. And then Marak, who like, though we haven't gotten a lot of his personality yet, as of right now, you know, he's very quiet, mysterious, but then you can see a little bit of his personality of him getting visibly frustrated when they lose Ahsoka and Sabine. He's like breathing heavily, like kind of, he's getting angry. That's true that you mentioned that, because I think I just kind of subconsciously, like, he makes me think of Kylo in that way a little bit as well. Yeah.
Like having like this masked like villain and just the frustration.
Just the simmering anger.
Yeah. Man, I don't know, dude. I can't. Dude, I'm just. I want to know more. I want to know more. I know we jumped ahead, but.
No, it's fine. And you know, speaking of them losing Ahsoka and Sabine, that's in the scene where we first get to witness the Purrgil.
Like
very cool.
Really, like, not, I wouldn't say first time in live action, but definitely like one of
like very up close.
Very up close. By the way, like this whole like sequence of like them coming in onto Cetos and like through the atmosphere and like swerving through Purrgil as they're like, and they're just like in awe. Like Sabine says very shortly after, like that's the first time I've seen those creatures since the day Ezra disappeared, and it's like kind of giving her this glimmer of hope. But like Shin and Merrick are like, what are these, you know? But they're still like they're swerving through and keeping track, and I don't know, it just was like a very cool chase to me.
The
vibes were real.
Yeah, it felt very like Asteroid Field, Empire Strikes Back kind of.
Yeah.
Like, if that theme were playing, you know, like, I would immediately be shunted back to ESB, you know?
And it was like, but it was also very peaceful in a way. Like, I don't know, like, with, like, the cloud, like, it was, you know, it's rainy and cloudy, but there's no thunderstorms, and they're, like, kind of soothed by the presence of and the hope of the Purrgil, but also, like, they're getting chased, but like I don't know. It was a very cool scene, and also Cetos is absolutely beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that's a great way to you know segue into what I next wanted to talk about, which is just Cetos is just such a beautiful planet.
Yeah. It's like lush red leaves, dark skies. When we first saw Cetos, it made me think of where the hidden Horcrux is at in Half-Blood Prince for some reason, but then like they just land in this kind of like opening in the forest and shut off all the electronics, and I don't know why. It was just something like so, I don't know. Anyway, I cut you off.
It was peaceful. No, dude. I'm more than happy to hear you talk about it. This is very peaceful. I'm gonna say this real fast. I'm gonna give you about like 5 seconds. I'm gonna talk a brief spoiler for Jedi Survivor. If you have not played the game, you can skip ahead 30 seconds from now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Major Tanalorr vibes.
Tanalorr, yeah.
I got very big Tanalorr vibes. I am loving just this Star Wars era of just beautiful, lush planets on the outskirts of nowhere
that are basically uninhabited and
and yet they have such a regal connection to something that we don't understand. That is just such a great way to tap into the mystique of the Force. That it's just so good.
I mean, yeah, like it makes Tanalorr has that connection to. Like the High Republic Jedi, but now it's like okay, obviously CTOS has this connection to something else. We've seen. I mean, the whole credit sequence is almost directly inspired by this kind of Stonehenge like structure that Baylan and Morgan's like crew are kind of camped out, waiting, trying to hunt down But I don't know. It's just there's something so again. The planet feels very Kurosawa. Japanese. I mean, like the Japanese mythos influence is very real. Like, I mean, I played a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima, and it made me think of Ghost of Tsushima a lot. It's a beautiful game, and this show, in my opinion, it's just very beautiful. I don't know. There's something that is just really ticking the boxes for me in terms of set design, sound design, like planets, and just everything that kind of makes, Star Wars isn't just lightsabers and blasters, pew pew force, woo. It's like, I mean, it's obviously the production value, but the sound, like, I mean, Skywalker Ranch sound design is just like, it's on a different level, and it just, everything there is just makes it hit. I don't know.
It's making me start to wonder. Because I feel like a lot of, I mean, you'll see it in these Star Wars stories that we have discussed. I feel like they are all pointing to something. I feel like Star Wars is starting to lead into like the Old Republic and High Republic stuff because they're all going into very ancient themes and ideas. Mm-hmm. We've got CTOS, we've got the planet Arcana with the Night Sisters. Mm-hmm. We're pointing to like another place in a galaxy. We're talking about the Jedi Archives having access to old intergalactic hyperspace lanes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Huang. That was a very cool line that, I mean, like, I don't know, when he said that, I was like, yo, no way. I don't know. I just got so excited for that.
You forget, like, Huang is an Old Republic droid. Like, taking out of the context, like, his design are the droids that are in the Old Republic MMORPG. Like, if you go in, it's just cool.
Yeah, which you're 100% right, which now that I think about it, thank you for bringing that up, Huang is like the perfect way to just kind of smoothly transition us into this Old Republic era. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to bring him back in an Old Republic story, that would be the perfect way to kind of introduce us to this new age.
And by the way, David Tennant is doing a fantastic job. He's such a perfect casting.
He's having a lot of fun, you can tell.
Yeah, David Tennant is an extremely versatile actor, and like he is no stranger to doing voice work as well. But I love it. And also, I we're kind of jumping back a bit because we kind of skipped over it after the whole like dogfight and everything. Huang scans the hyperspace ring, and we kind of get the info dump that means Ahsoka and Sabine kind of know what's going on about that, like you said, the hyperspace lanes to other galaxies. But it's just there's a very funny moment that just made me laugh again when like he gets shut down and then he gets booted back up once Marak and Shin like pass by them, they reboot their systems. He's like, oh, it's just like the ones we just saw, and he's like, when did we see them? Like, he's like when? Like, because he was shut off, and it's just his delivery. Like, it's just, man, I love Huang. Like, could he become one of my new favorite droids? Absolutely.
He's already one of mine. He's just such a welcome addition to the show. I love it.
Yeah, I think, man. Yeah, we just keep saying that every week because I just like, bro, like I'm just so happy he's in this show. Like it was not something that I like had an expectation or wanted, but I'm very happy he's there. But anyway, it's kind of towards the end of the episode now.
Well, at the end of the episode, like basically all I've got left is, I just really thought that it was great. I thought that there was something about the way that Baylan acts at the end of the episode. Like he sends off these, the rest of these mercs or, troopers or whatever to kind of search through the woods for their adversaries. And the camera takes a long time just looking at his face. So I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get a moment where like he's gonna try to convince Ahsoka to join his side or something like that. I feel like Ahsoka's gonna have another one of those moments that's like, you know, where her, I'm not gonna say faith, but like her morality is tested, perhaps. Like her mission is tested.
This what one could call the mid-season finale, although it's not being broken up. I think this one is going to please people because this is what the scenes that we've seen of Ahsoka fighting Balin, and the first image that we ever got of Marok was him in the forest igniting his saber. And
yeah,
there's
please don't get taken out.
Please, bro, please. I think this episode, beyond this episode, we are going into uncharted territory.
Yeah,
which is very thematic, considering they probably will be going into literal uncharted territory.
Right.
But like, you know, from what we've seen, it's been mostly clips from these first 4 episodes, and I cannot think of any other scenes from the trailers that would be, except maybe Thrawn's reveal in one of the trailers. I think
it. Yeah.
That would be the last. Maybe that's episode 5 or 6. But like, and I think this upcoming one is going to be a big one. It's going to be really some good action. Going to be some great dialogue, some beautiful cinematography, probably some amazing, just continuous bangers from Kevin Kiner, because he's just, I'm loving the score. I cannot wait till the full thing drops on streaming services so I can listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're already at like this climactic point where everyone's meeting to go off into uncharted territory. So that makes me curious. I mean, we got 5 episodes left, so what's gonna happen? You know, like there's just so much left that we have to explore. Not even basically not even halfway through the show. I mean, we're gonna be on Tuesday, but only halfway. What else do we have to see? I'm really curious. More. Yeah. And actually that does remind me, I did want to say, because we did bring this up when we first watched the episode. Thank God this wasn't a detour episode.
Woo, dude! And I don't care what anybody says. If you think it was slow or whatever, you're entitled to your own opinion. I didn't think that, but you cannot deny that it at least progresses the plot forward. That it wasn't pointless. And if anybody says like, "Oh man, it was unnecessary," I'm like, how? Like, how are you just wanted them to just teleport? Like, I don't know. Like, I like seeing that progress. Like, to me, it just feels, you know, in a movie they probably would just jump straight there and it would be a lot more condensed. But like, yeah, no detour episode. No,
again,
no
though,
Mando.
they're missing the journey for the destination. You know, like the Odyssey is not the Odyssey because Odysseus reached point A from point B. It was because of all the stuff that happened in between.
Exactly.
You know, like it's not just sit back and enjoy, man. Like, y'all gotta stop complaining. I mean, for real. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm willing to bet that you're not a complainer, and we here at Mortis FM love you very much. Listen, we do.
Life is too short to complain about everything. Critiquing is one thing. I could, if Cole were to ask me right now some things that I could critique about this episode, I'm sure I could find them. Yeah. In fact, I believe there was one little critique as we were rewatching it that I was like, yeah, that's the one thing I'm like, I don't like it. I didn't love that. And to be honest, it was so trivial that I don't even remember what it was. So I just, the thing about Star Wars, man, like is, there's a reason you love, if you love Star Wars, there's a reason you love it. Like, so don't keep trying to like, you know, there's obviously going to be things out there that are not going to make you happy. Those exist for me. But that doesn't change my love for Star Wars, and so I think anybody kind of complaining about this episode, of course you're entitled to your opinion, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time, and I'm loving just having like a really. It's been a nice contrast to some of the past live action shows in like more recent years.
Yeah,
which is nice.
So Ahsoka episode 3, I'm gonna rate it a good episode out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 2 lightsabers up. 2 Ahsoka lightsabers up because it's the Ahsoka one. 3 if you count Sabine's.
Thanks, man.
4 if you count Kanan's, which is gonna show up in the show. Mark my words.
8 if you count all of Huang's training sabers.
His little holographic dummy things.
Gaiki.
Oh yeah, those I don't know what those terms were, but they were really cool.
I don't know. New canon lightsaber styles? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I think it's just like
might have missed it.
If you're a Jedi out there, let us know. We're on Mortis. We don't know nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, Sabine, you gonna come out and save us, please?
We exist outside of time. In fact, yeah, I'm still waiting on the pizza guy to get here. I think he got lost at Cato Nemoidia.
Dude. The Nemoidians have already torn up that pizza, bro. It's done. They've already put all their
I just thought of a terrible pun of Cato Nemoidia. They prefer to they prefer to cater there. Cater Nemoidia.
Oh my god,
yes!
dude.
Yes! I do nothing but win.
My lord.
Is that delivery? I will make it pick up.
I will make it delivery. All right. Well, that's all I got on this episode. I know we went ping pong and everywhere, but I enjoyed it. Is there anything else that we're missing? I feel like we're gonna end this recording in a few short moments, and I'm going to think of something that we both forgot, and we're gonna have to bring it up in the next episode, and I'll just have to accept it.
I really think that my notes at the very least covered everything that I wanted us to cover.
Yeah.
If there's anything else that was in the episode, I really don't think that there was. I think we literally got everything. I think we talked about basically every scene. So.
A to B. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, thank you, Cole, for facilitating and directing this episode. You're
no
the
problem.
guy in the chair.
Guy in the chair.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this longer than usually awaited episode of Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast where we talk about Star Wars because we love Star Wars. Check us out. I guess the next episode will probably be the Ahsoka episode 4 discussion. I would like to do an episode speaking about my experience on the Star Cruiser, the Chandrilla Starline's Pride and Joy, the Halcyon, and I would love to indulge Cole with that information because I believe not only will he, but all who are listening thoroughly enjoy my tales upon that starship. However, that will be left for another day. So if that intrigues you, we will get that up sooner rather than later. So look forward to our Ahsoka episode 4 discussion, which should be, you should be listening to this on a Sunday if you're listening to it the day that it drops. So only a few 4 or 5 short more days. We'll keep it posted on at Mortis FM on Instagram, which you should go follow. And you should follow me at Straights8. And you should follow Cole where?
At And the Force is with me on Instagram.
Because it is with him. In fact, it's with both of us. And that is where I have to leave off, not lead.
Stay tuned for Ahsoka episode 4, Marok's Big Break.
That's Electric Boogaloo. Cole, my friend, may the Force be with you.
Always.